Hey everyone, I know you guys have been waiting for this video for a while and I've finally been able to make it the way I want. This is going to be quite long, so feel free to pause, revisit, or skip parts that you already know. I also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/BlockJump, where you can watch me live and ask me any questions about the guide or anything else ninja related. Link will be in the description. If you ever can't watch my stream, or you don't have the time, or schedule's not aligned, feel free to join my Discord. I have a server that is ninja related and it will let you ask for gear advice, maybe posting your ninja montages or just asking general questions. I'll have that link in the description and feel free to ask me any questions on there or say hello. Without further ado, I will get into the guide. The first chapter of this guide will be on what skills you should prioritize and have a general knowledge under, because these skills will be vital to movement on Awakening Ninja, and you need to know what they do and when to use them. I'm going to divide these skills into segments so you have an understanding on what and when and where to use them. Ghost steps are our number one most important skill, and it lets us have iframe in between skills so that we aren't always standing still. You want to use this skill in between pretty much everything you use, as it should almost never be sitting off cooldown. Ninja Step is a great skill we use to close gaps and move out of danger, since it gives us a pretty decent amount of movement to get out. Another big plus from this skill is that you can control where you move with it to some extent, which allows you to line up for grabs really well. Sound Charge is the skill we use in Awakening to cancel out of transition stance. With the new changes that Ninja had recently, you can also cancel out of Seamless and Sudden Decap. This skill allows Awakening to be more fluent, and without it, our skill change would be a lot more clunky. Needless to say, our C-Swap is a skill you will use throughout the entire time when you're moving. It gives us the ability to quickly cycle Frontal Guard to move between our pre-awakening and awakening stances. There's different types of C-Swaps, but I will go over that in a later part of the video. The outlier for the core groups of skills is Target Chase. You want to have Target Chase up 24/7 because of how important it is for managing movement, and when you're nearing low stamina. This gives Ninja the ability to run around without draining stamina, which is very important in large scale and areas where you have to cover large distances. Murderous Intent was one of our most important gap closers before the cooldown changed from 3 to 5 seconds. It is still a very good gap closer, but with the higher CD you have to pay more attention when you end up using it. It still has its uses with the core version of the skill, but it's not as strong as it was before. For Shadow Slash, the Awakening version, it is a very good gap closer that you can flow out of Silent Charge and Flashing Light, and I think even Murderous Intent as well. The thing that you have to note for this is that you must flow it out of these skills, otherwise there's a very long wind up, but if you're able to do it out of those skills in a movement chain, it'll come out really quick. Oni Shadow is one of our bombs that you might not consider a gap closer since it's normally used for stealth, but the distance and ability to keep you hidden as you dash forward makes it a powerful gap closer to grab with. Learning this gap closer is important to get confident grabs and CCs. Smokescreen into Concealment is similar to Oni Shadow in the fact that it offers a similar gap close, and with Smokescreen being a super armor that also has a protected CC, while also being able to dash you into stealth with concealment, this makes it very strong for grabbing players just like Oni Shadow. For Ghost Slash, the biggest thing you need to understand is that you have to Ghost Step at the end of it. If you don't, you will have a animation of a frontal guard that you kind of get stuck in, so kind of just want to remember to use this when you have Ghost Step up so you can quickly flow out of it. The Decap Swap is a new combo that came out with the changes for Awakening. It allows you to swap from pre-awakening to awakening while using Silent Charge, and to do this you need to do Shift RMB into spacebar, which is seamless, and then you do Silent Charge after you've pressed spacebar. This allows you to come out of pre-awakening with an iframe and back into awakening. Shadow Stomp works like Shadow Slash, where it's a good situational skill that can be used in multiple settings. The skill is often cancelled with other flows like Smokescreen, Ghost Step, Shuriken Toss, and Ghost Screen. Ghost screening is also another good movement skill for getting distance quick, and I often end up using it to flow out of Shadow Stomp with. Corrupt Sword Dance is one of our best neutral skills. It also allows us to pre-buff with Seamless AP and the Decap attack speed if you use it correctly. One thing to note for this skill as well is that you always need to ghost step before it. So whenever you're going to use this skill for a movement chain, just make sure it comes after a ghost step. That's the biggest thing to worry about, because if you don't, the first slash of it comes out really slow. There are some other skills that I didn't go over, which would be like transition stance, boss slaughter, block jumps, A to D flow that you can do on it, and there's some other honorable mentions. I won't be going over these here, but in a later part of a guide, maybe the second part of this one, I will go over a lot of the other more nuances to the class. But for this one, I just kind of want to focus on the core movement and some of the basic movement skills that you can chain into it. So to start off with this movement combo, I'm going to go over how I originally went through it. So the original movement combo guide, it was something where you're using Ghost Step, your Transition Stance, your Silent Charge, and then your C-Swap. And you're just kind of rotating these as much as you can. It really is still basically that, but I kind of want you guys to focus on the types of C-swaps you can do and the direction you do your silent charges in, while also adding in skills like a ninja step in between. And so what I mean by that is, let's say we're going to start off in pre-awakening, and then we're going to do Ghost Step C-swap, but we're going to do a sideways C-swap. So what I mean by that is, you want to try to do your C-swaps with AC. It comes out a lot smoother. I'm pretty sure it's a bit faster, and it's not as clunky as this one. Because when you do it like this, like you're kind of just stuck in place, and this one gives you a little bit better range of a frontal guard, and you'll know what I mean when you start using it a little bit more than the other one. You really want to get used to doing it like this. If you ever watch my streams, like I'm almost always C-swapping with AC, so you want to try to get comfortable doing that into Awakening. And there's going to be another one with Pre-Awakening. I guess I could go over it real quick for the C-swaps. There's three types of the C-swaps you want to do in Awakening, or to Pre-Awakening. So that'll be your WC swap. This is the most conventional one that everyone else uses. It lets you move around with it. That's like kind of why it's decent. So like if you're ever like tracking someone, like you can kind of C-swap to them like that. But the long animation of it just isn't that good anymore with how fast-paced combat is right now. So there's two others that I prefer. That is your SC swap and then your DC swap. If you watch my streams, you'll know I do DC swap a lot. It's basically the most swap that I do as often as I can, just because of how strong it is with its speed into going pre-awakening. So if you ever see like me doing like this, it's because I'm doing DC swap. You can't use certain skills out of WC for some reason. Like if you try to do spacebar smoke like this, you'll just jump at the end of it. It's only SC and DC swap that lets you do that. But you can just kind of see how fast it is normally, like just coming out of DC and SC, like you're coming out of it super fast, and it lets you just chain other skills quickly without having to worry about sitting in frontal guard and then getting like a Meiwa or a Musa coming up behind you quickly. That's often why I like using it. You kind of just don't want to be in frontal guards as often as you might think, just because frontal guards, while they're very good at not getting you slowed and they kind of just keep you alive from chip damage, they're very easily punishable, and there's so many classes in this game right now that can go through frontal guards, like Striker's Spiral, or stuff like Meiwa going in and backstepping behind you. Like there's just a lot of classes that can easily punish you for it, and that's why you just kind of want to minimize your time in frontal guard. So to do these, the biggest thing you're going to need to learn is just doing it like this, holding down D and then pressing C like this. This is how you C swap it. This is how you can just kind of see how it works, and it's the same for SC. All you have to do is just practicing these 3 different actions of C swap to Awakening. So I would just do it like this. Oh, not like that, but you get it. You get what I did. Yeah, like AC there, DC, go back to AC, SC, go back to AC swap, DC swap. The biggest thing is that you're going to be pressing D before you press C. I'll slow it down so you can kind of get an idea of what I mean. But you're always going to be pressing your D key first and then going into your C key. And I would just take some time out of your day to learn these. It's going to take a little while. One thing you should know about the Awakening one is if you use Oni Shadow, you can't do an AC swap immediately out of Ghost Step. You'll just do this forward one. It's like a bug, I guess, or something, like, because before it would just always slow swap you, and they changed it to where it just will do that swap every single time. So that's the only thing that I would keep a note of, but everywhere else I would just try to have it so you're doing these types of swaps, and your movement will look a lot similar to mine once you start incorporating these swaps, because they do play a big part in movement, and I would definitely take the time out of your day to try to learn them. So to start off this movement combo, I'm going to show you the full version of it and how it'll look, and then we will break down each skill, and I will go through 3 skills at the start, and then I will add a skill progressively to the point where we can loop the entire thing. And I feel like this way is a lot easier to learn. I did it for my original guide, and I'm kind of stick to it on this one. But it's going to have a little bit more professional and break it down a little bit easier so it's a little bit more visualized. So for the first combo we're going to do is I'm going to kind of extend it a little bit so you guys can get an understanding of how to do it efficiently. So what you're going to want to start off with is in pre-awakening, and you're going to just initially Ghost Step, and that'll be your first skill. So we're going to do Ghost Step, AC swap, and then I'm going to R&B, sound charge, and then we're going to Ghost Step again at the end of it, and then we're going to go into a DC swap. This is the initial chain that we're going to work on and kind of get familiar with. So I'm going to break it down into each skill, and then you will go in at 3 at a time and then add a skill at the end of it. So start off with, go into pre-awakening, Ghost Step, AC swap, R&B. That's the only thing I would work on now. And do that for about a minute and a half, and then we will add another skill at the end of it. Now for the next skill we're going to be adding, it's going to be Sound Charge into Ghost Step. I'm going to try to do these 2 skills together because it's kind of speed up the process a little bit. And if you're feeling comfortable with the first 3 skills, this should be pretty easy. If you're having trouble with the AC swap, by the way, make sure you're pressing your A key first and then your C key. Otherwise, if you try to do it like at the same time, it's just not gonna work out well, and you might even like do like a slow swap. So I would definitely pay attention to that. But without further ado, let's get into the next skill. Now we'll be doing Ghost Step, AC swap, R&B, Shift W. That's going to be our next chain of skills. So again, Ghost Step, AC swap, R&B, Shift W. And that'll be our Sound Charge. And then right after this is where we're going to be going into our Ghost Step. So once you get comfortable doing it like this, I would just kind of go into BA and just walk around doing it like this. Just make sure you reset yourself, do it, reset, do Shift W at the end of your R&B, and just keep doing it like that. So WF, AC swap, R&B, Shift W, just like that. And just keep doing that. One thing I would add is if you're getting really comfortable with doing Shift W out of R&B, make sure you start incorporating Shift AW and Shift WD. So what I mean by that is like this, where you're starting to do horizontal swaps or sound charges, so that'll help you kind of give you better range of mobility. I would start doing that before moving on to the next skill. You want to be able to do stuff like this pretty comfortably. I'd also practice trying to turn your sound charge, because you can also turn your sound charge with your camera if you didn't know. I think I should have mentioned it earlier, but if I didn't, just remember that you could still move your camera around with sound charge to kind of give you movement. And I would definitely work on just doing this chain and then doing Shift A D and Shift A W, or Shift W D and Shift W A. Just doing those, and then also just normal Shift W. Just get comfortable with it. Keep doing that, and then we will move on to our go step right after. So to start off the next skill, we're going to be adding Ghost Step after Silent Charge. This will be chaining 2 iframes together so you can have a bit more protection. A key note is that you can R&B after Silent Charge instead of having to Ghost Step, but it just is very situational, and sometimes you need that downtime of a half a second or so to go into the next Ghost Step, depending on what kind of chain you're doing. But I would just keep that at the back of your mind, that you can do it like this, or you could do it like this. It just kind of depends, very situational. I think overall, broadly, the Ghost Step out of Sound Charge is the better option, but it just kind of depends what the situation is and what you have planned. So we're going to start this again by just going in from Pre-Awakening, and we're going to do the exact same chain, but just end at Ghost Step now. So we would do Ghost Step, AC Swap, R&B, Silent Charge, Ghost Step right after. You don't have to worry about chaining it like perfectly. I would just get the key binds down, and like I said before, this will make it really easy for you if you can kind of just do it one at a time and just take it slow, just like that, and you'll be fine. All you got to do is just doing it slowly, taking your time, and you will get the hang of it. And obviously mixing in that WA and WD for Silent Charge, and that'll kind of get you comfortable with getting used to those different directions you can use for that skill. And yeah, just keep doing that, ending that Ghost Step and then resetting and doing it again. Now for the final skill in this chain, we're going to be adding a C-Swap going into Pre-Awakening. Now we're going to alternate between our DC Swap and our SC Swap, which are these two. We will be using both of them in this combo, and you're just going to try to want to get used to using them at the end of it, and this will kind of set you up for better chains and gets you out of that C-Swap faster so you can move into skills like Ninja Step or Ghost Reading, etc. Now to start this off, we're going to be going into Pre-Awakened again. We will be doing Ghost Step, AC Swap, R&B, WA Shift, which is Sound Charge, into our Ghost Step again, and then a DC Swap or SC Swap. And that's how you will do this chain. I would just take it slow again, and this will be the entire chain because we're already at the end of it with this, and if you're able to get down everything by now, then you will already be set up to perform well with movement chains. Because with this already, you can kind of linger it and basically do an infinite movement combo with just this alone. And I would just alternate between DC Swap and SC Swap because they both have their uses. The biggest thing with SC Swap is that it keeps you in place and it doesn't move you, so if you like kind of don't want to like move jolt forward with DC Swap, you can use SC Swap and kind of just lay in like that neutral stance of that skill. But they're both good. I use DC more, but it kind of just depends. I would just take your time again, going through it one at a time. Ghost Step, AC Swap, R&B, Shift AW, Ghost Step, DC or SD. And just do that and you will have this full chain down, and we will move on to how to incorporate skills to extend it and just make your movement a lot more fluid. The biggest thing with movement as well is that it's very freestyle. It's hard to explain, like your movement chains aren't going to just look like this all the time, where you're just doing this combo only. You're supposed to be adding skills a lot, and everything can be chained at one after the other. So sometimes you won't even like go into Sound Charge or like a Ghost Step or a C swap in a while, just because of how well you can chain stuff now with Ninja. So like what I mean by that is like we'll do something like this, and then see all this is like just skills that aren't in that movement combo besides just Ghost Step and maybe the occasional C swap. It really just depends what kind of chain you're doing, and I will explain how to formulate that movement and to just get like a combo down and just flowing out of certain skills like silent charge and etc. I will be going over that. So to give you a better understanding of the different chains you can do, I'm going to use this whiteboard as an example of the different types of like theory crafting for movement you can do. It is all freestyle, so you really have to just come up with ideas yourself on what you want to chain together. And I'm going to go through different aspects of the movement and like where you might start for it. So this original thing is here in the middle is the movement chain, what we learned and what you should have down by now. And what I'm kind of just going to incorporate is how you could possibly chain other stuff to it, as in like maybe you want to add skills afterwards or whatnot. You can definitely do that here, and I'm going to kind of just go through it and show you how that might happen. I'll just add more arrows here to kind of give you an understanding. But let's start off with Ghost Step into Pre-Awakening, right? So we'll go here. We'll start off in Pre-Awakening, and then I'll show you a visualization of the game as well when I edit it over. But we'll start with Ghost Step, right? So let's say we're in Pre-Awakening, we do WF, and then we're going to move into a Ninja Step right after. So we'll do WRMB for Ninja Step. So we'll go Ghost Step, Ninja Step. Now we have a lot of different options to go into out of this because for this chain right here, we are in Pre-Awakening. So we're still in our main hand spec. So we have all these options to go into if we want to. So let's say we want to go into a smoke screen and concealment. So we'll go into smoke, and then we will go into concealment. Oops. And then we'll go into concealment, which is super armor and into iframe, and then we will end with another ghost step. And so we are still in pre-awakening out of this ghost step. One thing to note is that when you're doing movement chains, you always still want to try to factor in your ghost step when you're going into it, because you're already doing what 3 skills here. Your ghost step will be back up. So if your ghost step is up by the time you do this, then you want to go into another ghost step. So once you get an understanding of how that works, you can kind of get a feel for how you might be able to change stuff now. So we've done our 3 new skills out of this, and so we are still in a pre-awakening ghost step at the end of it. So what you can easily do is then you can factor in the older movement combo that we were, or the movement combo we were learning, and just go straight into that. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you want to do, you're in pre-awakening for ghost step. You literally just do the exact same chain that we started off with, and you look, you have like literally a full movement combo again out of it. And then you're going into awakening with your AC swap, RMB, silent charge, your ghost step, and then you're back into pre-awakening with your DC swap. And then with this, you can even do maybe like a ghost greeting into a shadow stomp, and then you would move on from there. So you do ghost greeting, and then you would do shadow stomp, and then your ninja step would even be up by now because of the cooldown. You should have your ninja step up by then. So you look how far you can move along with this. And then even here, let's say you end at ninja step, you would even go into a full another combo of into awakening. So let's say you were gonna go into here. Let's flow it into maybe a sudden decap swap where you go into seamless, or you go to decap, and then Seamless for the AP buff and to cancel into Shadow Slash, and then you go into the Q right after. Look at that. And now you're in Awakening. This should work. Let me get a thing for this. And now you are in Awakening at the end of the skill. You can just see how far you can move along with this chain. I could literally go forever in like theory crafting like a movement for this. Like even out of this, you would go into a murderous intent. Your murderous intent should be up. There you go. You go into murderous intent. You come out of murderous intent. You can even go into flashing light. I don't have the icon here, but you get the idea. Um, there's so much that you can like craft with it, um, and just give you a better understanding of how to like really just move on ninja, because all of it is freestyle. That's the biggest thing. You kind of just whatever is up for your cooldowns, you would move into that skill next. So also you can I wouldn't forget that you can always just C swap to kind of give you time. So like even here, you do Q or decap, seamless, Q, and then maybe I would even do a ghost step instead, and then I would go into MI, and then I would C swap, and I would go into a DC swap, sit in the DC swap for a little bit, and then I would move on to another skill, maybe another ghost step, and then now I am in a pre-awakening for ghost step, and oop, I think I did this one wrong actually. Should actually be like this, because you need to silent charge out of ghost step. So you do this, this. Almost forgot. Almost forgot. There we go. Ghost step, and then you would MI, you would DC swap, and then you would just ghost step again at the end of the DC swap. And then now you're at the beginning of your movement combo. And then you literally do the exact same thing again. It's like there's so much that you can do with these chains. It's just kind of have to get an understanding of what you're able to do. So like this, you literally just go boom back into your combo, and then you've got this whole chain of skills that you would go into out of just these right here. And this doesn't even take into account like the super armors you can do. And like what I mean by that is like, let's say you're going into your ninja step, maybe you do, instead of smoke, you do blade spin. You sit in blade spin. You hold the SA, and then you would go into another ghost step, and then maybe you would C swap there, and then move on. And then out of like RMB into silent charge, you would go into maybe like a drastic measure instead. So you would go like from here to here, and then your follow-up skill would be a super armor, which would be drastic measure, and then you would sit in that skill, and then you would move on to a ghost step, because your ghost step should be up by then easily, but because you're sitting in a super armor, and then you're in a super armor and awakening. What skills do I have? I can go straight into a maybe MI into our Q skill, maybe gap close on someone that we're chasing. It really just depends like what you have in mind for your movement. There's so much that you can do, and I feel like this is like the best way to visualize that, because it's kind of hard to go over it in game, but I think if you have it like this in like a flowchart type of setting, it just makes it a little bit easier on that. One thing you should understand for Awakening is that you could still chain movement between super armors. I didn't go over it too much, but um, what I mean by that is that for a lot of the time when you're chaining skills, you aren't just going to be only doing um, movement combos like with just movement chains, if that makes any sense. Like skills like ghost greeting, ninja step, stuff like that, where you're only using skills that are just pure movement. Movement doesn't actually work like that in an actual setting of PvP because you're needing to go into like super armor or going into like a blade spin, flashing light, your Mog explosion, going into like drastic measure for example, or katana shower. Movement is very fluid in that sense, and you always want to be chaining in between skills like that where you're going into super armor. I think one of our biggest skills right now that are very helpful for us that give us movement and protection for that, it would be like doing a shadow slash decap swap like this, because you can just sit in super armor and kind of gauge the fight. So let's say you're disengaging, you're using corrupt sword dance to get out, and you're just backing up, maybe doing katana shower into mock explosion. If you just go into shadow slash, not the slow version, but with like maybe like going to like a seamless into Q, uh, that added super armor gives you a lot of time to just chill and kind of figure out what cooldowns you have and what to chain into next. You always want to be kind of looking out for that. I think that's why when you're doing chains like this, instead of just trying to do like everything with just pure movement, look at what skills you have and just use those to kind of gauge what to do next. So a lot of time I'll go into flashing light and then hold down R&B for mock explosion, and I'll kind of just see like what skills I have. Okay, I have ninja step, I have my cutthroat, I got blade spin, I have my Q skill. So maybe I'll go into a ghost step, DC swap, and then ninja step and kind of flow into shadow slash out of a silent charge swap. Just stuff like that you kind of just have to take into account. You always want to be knowing what you have next and just planning your movement ahead of time. That's why I like to have all my cooldowns on screen, so I can kind of just still understand what I can move up next. So I got blade spin, I got ninja step. I'll do ninja step or blade spin into ninja step, and then I'll go back into flashing light, block explosion, just kind of chill in that. Or maybe I want to go into a Q really quickly so I can linger my super armor, and then I'll ghost step and disengage with corrupt sword dance, and then I'll go back into flashing light, drastic, maybe out of mock, stuff like that. You kind of just gotta play with it. Maybe even like when you're disengaging like this, you'll go into cutthroat so you can turn around, and then you'll just go step back and then C swap. Just chill. Maybe use your ghost slash to kind of reposition yourself. Always using your corrupt sword dance to do the same. Kind of gives you that that nice buff with decap and seamless if you just use it at the end like this. And then just kind of chilling, using your super armors when you have them, and just chaining stuff like this. Like you can see how slowed down you can do your movement instead of just doing it straight out of only movement skills. So yeah, kind of chilling, letting my cooldowns come up. Went into blade spin. See, these aren't even like movement skills besides like the occasional silent charge and ghost step and ninja step. I'm just using everything to rotate, seeing what's coming up. I see Drastic's up, I see my my Q is up. I'll just chain stuff like that. Cut sword dance is up. Go into that. Smoke screen's up. I see blade spin is up. I'll go into that. Ninja step was. Katana shower is. I got drastic and mock again, and then my Q is up again. See, you can just kind of. This is what I mean when skills are freestyle, like for movement. You kind of just chain with whatever you have available at the time, and then you use your super armors to kind of give you time for those cooldowns to come back up, and you just kind of chill. Like you can even sit in block jump like this, and then go on the A or D one, kind of just give you more time to think. Especially in like high stress situations where you're 1vxing, like you kind of need these super armors to kind of give yourself more movement time, or maybe time for your like grab cooldown to come up. Kind of just need to buy yourself time to do that, and so you're going to be doing a lot of stuff like this where you're just chilling, kind of waiting, giving yourself a little bit of time to breathe. And I think that's the biggest thing to take away. out of these movement chains is just being able to do stuff like that. I do plan on doing another one of these guides here like really soon. I needed to get this one out, and this one's already getting up to like 30 minutes, so kind of just want to try to close it out. As I said before, I do stream on Twitch if you need to ask me questions about this guide, or my Discord is even a little bit better. I can answer there pretty much at all times of the day. But to preface with this again, just remember, take it slow. It's going to be a little hard at first, especially if you're brand new to BDO. It's going to be pretty difficult to get the hang of Awakening Ninja. But with enough time and practice, it does get a lot easier. And I would just stick to it. It's going to be hard, but I think it's very rewarding, and I think you'd enjoy it if you're able to stick with it. Well, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment and like or whatever. And just tell me if you felt like something was a little lackluster. If you need something that I didn't go over, please tell me so I know for the next video of the part 2 of this one to add that into it. But I will mention it on my Discord what I do plan to do next after this one. So just make sure you're on there, and I will be streaming pretty often, so you can ask me there as well.